Good morning and God bless you. Welcome to our Bible study and praying session. May God keep honoring you and blessing you and yours in Jesus' name. Please kindly subscribe to our channel, to our channel, download our messages, watch our messages, like our messages, share them, and also press notification bell. So once we upload any message, you'll be notified. God keep honoring you and yours in Jesus' name. Amen. We're looking at the tools of prophets, prophetic tools. And today we look at yesterday we looked at trances. Yesterday we looked at visions. Today we look at trances. Trance in Greek is called ecstasia, meaning you are caught up into another realm. You are caught up from where you get ecstasy. You are caught up into another realm. In trance, some people mistake trance to be open vision, but open vision is clearly different from trance, because in open vision, you know where you are, you know what you are doing. You are seeing, you are physical, you are completely aware of your senses and where you are. But in trance, you are caught up. Your ordinary consciousness and perceptions are withheld, and the person becomes susceptible to the influence of the spirit that brought the trance. Your consciousness is suspended. You become unaware of your physical environment, but in open vision, you are aware of your physical environment. Like Zechariah that said he saw the angel standing by the right side of the altar. It was open vision. But in trance, even you are awake, you're not sleeping, but another realm is superimposed on you. Your consciousness is suspended. Your awareness is suspended. You are caught up. That's why they say, I fell into trance. Suddenly, another realm opens, and then you lose consciousness of where you are. That's why some people say that trance is you are dreaming when you are awake. In trance, you are awake, but another realm, another level takes up your consciousness. You are here now instantly. Like that's what some people call you be in the spirit. You be in the spirit. Suddenly you lose awareness of where you are, and you see yourself in another realm altogether. So in trance, your mind is displaced. Your mind is displaced, and the realm that imposes on you is now the one that is manifesting. It is the displacement of your mind. Your physical senses are suspended. You are suddenly unaware of your physical surroundings until you come out of it. Until you come out of it. That's the realm my majority of the tools that God wants to talk to me is trance and open visions. I don't dream. I don't remember dreaming. If I dream, it's once in a long while. Usually trance, and that trance happens when I'm praying. And suddenly I'm unaware of where I am. A new realm opens up for me, and I'll enter there and pick the thing and come out. That's why you see when you usually say that person fell into a trance. Fell into means something like fell as in your physical senses are suspended or displaced. Your mind is displaced, and then suddenly that thing, it may even be just a split second, but within that split second, the thing you receive is as big as if you were watching it from beginning to end. In open vision, you see it unfold. You watch it unfold. But in trance, it may not even last too long. But within that seconds, it lasts. So suddenly you become unaware of where you are, and then the event happens, and you return back to your normal body. That's the realm where I operate most, trances. And it happens usually when I'm praying. Most of my revelations come when I'm praying. If I'm praying, and that's when I begin to. I'm not reached the level where I just sit down and begin to receive up and down. I'm still young and I'm still growing. And in trance, another very important thing about trance is that it's also dynamic. It's interactive too. So you can ask questions and say things. And the peculiar thing about trance is that if you enter into a trance, you can come out of it and go back into it. For example, if you enter into a trance and in a trance, you are supposed to get a message like this. Like this. This is the length of the message you're supposed to get. And maybe along this line it was interrupted. And you can go back into it. And when you go back, you start from where you stopped. That time that God showed me visions of hell, then I called it visions of hell because I hadn't known the terms very well, but they were trances. Each time God would take me, each time that I would fall into it, because I was writing. That was the measure where that God was talking to me that time in my initial stage, and most of the time now. So once I enter into it, I pick the message that's giving me, I write it. When I write it and I start praying, I go back to the trance again. I don't go. It's not intentional. I don't go back to it on my own. It just continues. The influence, the spirit that took me into that trance, because I write a lot. God tell me to go and get a paper. I will get the paper. He say, and start writing. Write what I will show you. I will be praying, and as I'm praying, the trance will happen. I just suddenly lose awareness of where I am. He will take me to a place somewhere, show me the things that are happening there. If the thing will take notes, I'll take notes, and when I come out of that trance, I will write it down. When I write it down and I start praying again, I enter. It continues. So it gives me enough time to be able to write when I finish. He shows me such a way that when I come out, I can write. I can remember to write what I've seen. Because if it becomes too long for me, I may not be able to pick it. So for me, he says something from here to here, and I don't enter into it by myself. So, and the trance ends, and I come out and write. I write as if it's been dictated to me. I will write it down. When I finish writing it and drop the pen and start praying again, it continues. It continues from where the sequence continues until the message is over, which you don't see in open vision. But in open vision and in trance, you are completely awake before the trance happens. In the open vision, you are fully aware. You are fully in control of what you are watching it like movie, like this. But in trance, you are seeing it, but not with your physical senses. Even though you are awake and not sleeping. That's why the Bible says he fell into a trance. Some people even say that maybe they had what they could call a little sleep. They may say that as they were praying, they had maybe a little sleep of more or less than 30 seconds. It's not necessarily sleep. It may be, but it's just that you left your conscious level. Your consciousness was displaced. Your mind was displaced, and you entered into that realm. It can be interactive. You can walk. You can ask questions. You can write. Like when when God in a trance showed me hell and the people in hell. Yes, it was interactive. The Lord was allowing them to tell me what happened, what took them there. And when I finish, I'll get back, and I'll be fidgeting, and I'll write what God told me, write what the told me, and when I finish writing it, and I'll pray again, and I'll go back again. When God gave me the vision about His church, that's how He showed it to me. Because if He gave it to me all, and I'll now wake up and start writing them, I won't be able to remember them. So it was that vision took almost 2 or 3 weeks for it to become completed. That trance. So, but you see, I'll come once I start praying, it will continue. When I finish praying, it will stop. I'll come back to pray again, it will continue. So When you're interrupted, or when you get up, when you walk, or when you move about, and you sit down, you can immediately continue where you stopped if the trance is ongoing. It's not you that's controlling it. Remember that in trance, a power higher than you takes over your conscious. You're not sleeping, but you are awake when that thing happened. So that some people felt that they had a little sleep. Now it won't be a little sleep. It'll just be like sometimes it may be a little sleep, sometimes a little sleep. But the main thing I'm talking about is sometimes maybe that I'm praying, and it appears as if I fell down. I had a 5 second sleep. But in that 5 second sleep, the message that will come out of it will be quite big. Or I didn't even sleep. I just start praying again, and in that prayer, the experience starts. And when it will be as if I'm out of my body, it will be as if I'm out of my body. And until I come back to my body, when I come back to my body, I start writing it again. That's why some people call it, they say trance are like dreaming when you are awake, because you are awake and then you enter into another realm, which you didn't enter by yourself. That's why some people, even our brethren in the other areas, they can induce it. That's a ecstasy. Ecstasis is the Greek word. So they use things to induce trances. They use drugs. They use hypnotism. They use demons. But we are those that we receive our own trance from God. So you are just caught up in an experience. You are caught up in an experience. It's a state that is like being asleep. You are awake, but it feels as if you are asleep. And then that thing appears as if you are asleep. You are able to move and respond to questions and commands like a person who is awake. So it's as if somebody is superimposing dream in somebody who is awake. You're not sleeping. So it's not night visions. It's not dream. You are awake. It's not an open vision. It's called trance. Let's look at some examples in the Bible. Numbers, if you understand how God is leading you, if you understand the tool that God has given to you, you'll be able to sharpen and prune it. Numbers chapter 24, verse 1 to 4. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not as at other times to seek for enchantment, but he set his face towards the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and he saw Israel abiding in his tent. He lifted up his eyes. So Israel abiding in his tent, according to their robes, and the Spirit of the God came upon him. See, the time something comes upon you. Something, and that something that comes upon you is what they call you fell into trance. Something just comes upon you suddenly. Suddenly it comes upon you. You don't plan it. You don't induce it in the things of God. You know, unbelievers can induce their own spirits and with drugs. The Spirit of God comes upon you, and then the experience begins. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor had said, and the man whose eyes are open. So his eyes are open. You're not sleeping. God has opened his eyes. Because in that thing, you are not sleeping. Even though in some few cases you may feel you are sleeping. You may fall into a little seconds of sleep. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor has said, and the man whose eyes are open had said, he had said, which heard the words of God. See, in that trance, he heard the words of God, which saw the visions of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. He's in a trance. And that trance is what is like a vision. You know, say that the vision he sees happens to him when he's in a trance. His eyes are open, his ears are open, and he receives revelation. As if it's a vision, but he fell into a trance to receive it. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor has said, and the man whose eyes are open has said, so God opens your eyes because it's a tool, it's a prophetic tool. Trance is a prophetic tool. Anybody can pass through it, anybody can have it too, but it's mostly seen in prophets and those who deal with the spirit realm. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor had said, and the man whose eyes are open has said, he had said, which hear the words of God. You know, I say it's interactive. You can be doing things and it's happening. You can be doing this and it's happening. When I was in the other part of the Christendom, when they will have apparitions, when we, such things, even demons can give trances. So there was a place we were going to that time. There was one of the people that were seeing apparitions. So you go there, and when the things come, they say that the spirit has come. All of us will be praying there, praying, and then they say the spirit has come and give her the messages. She will dictate it. That time when the spirit comes, you look at her, you know that she's no longer there. You will see her communicating, but whatever she's saying, you don't hear it. It's when the event is over that she now began to say what happened. She will not announce what happened when she was in that trance. And he took up his parable and said, he has said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision. So in trance, your ears are open, your eyes are open, so you can see, you can hear. He has said, which heard the words of God, which saw the visions of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. So it was in the trance that he got this. He has been making efforts to with his 21 authors to bring Israel down. He obviously that when he tried, which time he now went to go and try to use divination, God will catch up with him and God will put a word in his mouth to go and say and speak to Balak. When he now saw that it pleased God to bless Israel, he now said, no point going to seek enchantment anymore. Let me now use my normal method. He said his normal method was trance. Normal method was trance. Yes, majority of the things that God talks to me is through trances. And then open visions. I don't dream. And I don't know I don't have several gifts. Like I don't dream. So, but this trance, when I receive it, it's dependable. He saw the visions of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. So at that time, his eyes were open. To be as if you are dreaming, but your eyes are open. To be as if you are dreaming, but your eyes are open, and you are seeing the vision or the dream or the event play before you. How goodly are the tents, O Jacob. So he now began to talk about what he saw. That time God opened his eyes and he began to see these things he was saying here. From verse 14 to, and now behold, I go unto my people. Come therefore, and I will advertise thee what these people shall do to the people in the latter days. And he took up his parable and said, he started saying what that was communicated to him in that trance. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor has said, and the man whose eyes are open has said, he has said, which heard the words of God. He hears the words of God and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the visions of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. I see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and the scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the children of Seth. See, he now continued. That's what he was now, as he was now saying what he was giving the prophecy, but it happened via trance. He says his trance happens when his eyes are open. I don't even know whether my eyes are open or not. All I know that it happens, and I don't remember myself until I come back out of the experience. I don't know whether my eyes are open or closed, unless it's one of those times when it appeared as if I have the little millisecond sleep. That's maybe the only time when I can say that my eyes. So whether it happens with my eyes open or not, I don't know. All I know is that I will pray it and it happens. And really, most times, several times, trance usually happens around prayer time. When somebody is praying, or like vision, you can just be going up and down, and something happens. You are in trance most of the time. You are tuned into prayers. Yeah, maybe you are starting to pray. or you're around prayer and then it happens. Like this one now. He climbed the mountain to go and release things against Israel, release things for Israel, and it happened. His eyes were opened and he began to see these great visions. In the book of Ezekiel chapter 1, Ezekiel chapter 1, from verse 1 to 28, we will not read all because it's too long. It says, now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day, in the month, as I was up, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives of the river of Keba, that the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. Heavens opened and I saw visions of God. Heavens opened and he began to see visions. He knew the day he started seeing visions. In the 5th day of the month, this one, he said in the 5th day of the month, as I was this and that. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Joachim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest. The word of the Lord came suddenly. The word of the Lord came expressly, not like the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of Chaldeans, by the river Keba, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. So at that point, he was not in charge. The word of the Lord came as the word of God was coming. God's hand was upon him, because in trance, a hand is upon you, an influence upon you. It may be divine influence, that if God is the one giving it to you, that influence is upon you. A being takes you are under an influence. Something that, like Ezekiel said, his own was that the word of the Lord came, but by the time the word of the Lord came, that word was upon him there. So the power of God came and subdued him, then he received that message. That is what is called a trance. In that thing, the supernatural power subdues you. Supernatural power subdues you and then displaces your mind and senses and gives you this message. The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of Chaldeans by the river Keba. The hand of the Lord was there upon him. If you use Berean Studying Bible, it says, the word of the Lord came directly to Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of Chaldeans by the river Keba, and there the Lord's hand was upon him. So you see, this were happening concurrently. He was receiving a message and God's hand was upon him. So he was under an influence. He was subdued. He was receiving a message, but there was an influence. There was a power that came upon him before he began to receive this message. Free Bible says a message from Lord was given to Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of Babylonia by the river Keba. There, Lord's power came over him. God's power came over him. So a power comes over you. In trance, a power comes over you. A power comes over you. And then as you're receiving that, you're not standing on your own, like in open vision where you're standing and seeing. In this one, a power, it says God's power came over him. God's power came over him. The message will be ongoing, but God's power, God overpowers you. God's word nation says the power of the Lord came over Ezekiel. So at this point when he was receiving that message, he wasn't in his normal senses. A power was over him. The power of the Lord came over him. As he says, the hand of the Lord rested upon him there. So as the message was coming, he wasn't just himself like in open vision. No, what he was dreaming. There was a power that subdued him. NLC says, New Trances says, NLT says, the Lord gave this message to Ezekiel, son of Buzi, a priest, beside the Kebar River in the land of the Babylonians, and he felt the hand of the Lord take hold of him. Something takes hold of you. Something takes hold of you. Something just suddenly takes hold of you. That's what they say they fell into trance. Something just suddenly takes hold of you. The hand of the Lord, he felt the hand of the Lord take hold of him. Something just takes hold of you. That's why some people think it's sleep that has overcome. The thing is heavy that sometimes you'll be struggling to keep your eyes to be awake, and suddenly that power comes upon you. You don't know whether you're awake or asleep. But all the while we are busy praying like this. From nowhere, this influence takes hold of you. The power of Jehovah came up. NSD say, the power of Jehovah came upon him. UDB says, Unlock Dynamic Bible says, so God gave Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, messages in Babylon while he was beside the Kebar Canal. Yahweh's power went to him there. So there's a power that induces that trance. A power induces that trance. A power induces that trance. So in this one, something is happening, receiving a message, but you are under a power. You are under a power. You are under a power as that message is happening. T4T says, God gave me messages in visions here in Babylon, and I felt the power of Yahweh on me. I felt the power. So you see, that's a translation for translators. Says, God gave me messages in visions here in Babylon, and I felt the power of Yahweh on me. So it's like visions. The only thing here is that you are under a power. You are not in charge. You are receiving that message under an influence. I felt the power of Yahweh on me. But in open vision, you are there watching it like this. You are seeing visions. You are seeing they play like a video. But you are in charge you are in charge of your movement. Like when they were saying, Mary was saying, where have you put the Lord? Let me go and see him. He was in charge. Or like when, yes, in that when the Lord resurrected, I think it's John chapter 20. He said, show me if you know where the Lord is, let me go. He was interacting with the angels, but he was talking with them, and he said, show me. And she went, and they were looking. But in this one, you are under a power. The power of the Lord is upon you. I felt the power of the Yahweh on me. Until it is over, I don't know what you're doing. So you receive this one. So in open visions, you receive visions, but in trances, you receive visions, but you are not consciously in charge. You can interact with the vision, but you are not consciously in charge. A power overwhelms you. That, like Ezekiel said, that his own was the power of the Yahweh overwhelmed him in his own. So he kept talking about the things he saw. So this is whole of chapter 1. In fact, Ezekiel was a man that ministered so much by trance and by visions. He ministered so much by trance and open visions. And the living creature ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with the fall. So he could, you see, he could remember what happened there. It's so vivid. Like the vision that God gave me about hell, 2007. How many years now? 17, 13 years now. 2007 to 17. Several years now, more than 15 years now, and it's still very vivid. I can remember every detail of that discussion. It's so vivid. The vision he gave me about the house before he now told me to go into full-time intercession. It's so vivid. Verse 28 says, as the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of God, Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spoke. So you see, when he saw it, he fell upon his face. I tell you that even in this thing, it's interactive. It's interactive. When the vision was when the vision and trance were over, it was not because you can come out and begin to document whatever you did. Like when I finished, I document whatever happened. He said, and when it was over, he said, this was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spoke. Meanwhile, before God gave me this vision, before God put me into a trance, he told me I want to prepare for what I want to show you. He said, I want to prepare for what I want to show you. He now put me on some fasts for years. Then the day that this was about to happen, he now told me, get ready for what I want to show you. I didn't even know. He has been showing me things now. So I didn't know that it was a detailed exposition of his house, of the state of his house. It took about 2 weeks. And when I finished, the first day that he began on a Saturday. Then came until Sunday, continued until Sunday. I was documenting. That Sunday when I was going to church, I had an accident because I was just shaking. The experience was over, but I was just shaking. I couldn't stay in Okada. I couldn't stay because I was going to church with Okada. I couldn't stay. If I stood up, I was shaking, as if it was happening there. It was terrifying. Sometimes, but not a rule, prayers are involved. Sometimes, not a rule, prayers are involved. Or maybe God has prepared you for what he wants to show you. Or there's something he wants to show you immediately before so that. But he wants to suspend your senses. He wants to suspend your senses. You're not sleeping, but he wants to suspend your senses. I remember one place we went to pray. The leader of the evangelism unit that I was working in took me and one other leader to go somewhere to pray. There was a lady that had issues, and the man, they said I should come and go with them to pray. We went there to pray. We went there to pray with the girls. The girl had issues. And then we went there. As I came there, as the man was preaching, suddenly, within a split second, I was knocked out. I was knocked out. And then God showed me whom that girl was. And what was happening. I told them, see what I'm saying now, and it was correct. I didn't see it by open vision, as if I was just knocked out. We were staying with her. I was just knocked out. As if I was just knocked out. And within that split second, you will come out with the volumes. To be as if it's eternity. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice. So you see, it was not the glory that pushed him down. It was not glory that pushed Ezekiel down. It was not glory that pushed Ezekiel down. Ezekiel saw it and fell upon his face. He fell on himself. He fell. Those of you that say he saw glory and he fell down, it was not glory that pushed Ezekiel down. He fell, and when I saw it, so meaning that these were conscious things he was doing. These were now when he was come to his consciousness. When I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spoke. So when I saw it, I fell. The glory was too much. Hey, in submission, I fell. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet. God does not push people down. And he said unto me, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. He didn't push him down. He told him to stand up. Why is it that in our own time, when God wants to talk to us, he pushes us down? Why? That's when God wants to talk to you. Pushes that. But see, he said, when Ezekiel fell down, he saw the glory and it was too much. He fell down. He said, Ezekiel, I'm a glorious God. I don't push people down. I make people to stand upon their feet. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spoke unto me, and he set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spoke unto me. Yes, the Spirit entered into me, and I didn't fall down. But in our today's church, when the Spirit enters into you, you fall down. When anointing comes, you fall down. Please know who is pushing you down. If we don't see it in this Bible, we will not take it. God can do one or two things occasionally, but for it to become the routine that every day we go to church, we fall down and it cannot be God. It cannot be God. Kundalini spirit. That's what it is. And other forms of mystical Indian spirits. Mystical spirit released and gotten from Indian temples. He fell on we have seen it. We have been seeing it all the way within this prophetic text. When they encountered they fall. Said, Daniel, he's not falling down. Say, stand up. Get up. This one saw the glory of God like nobody has seen it before, apart from the one that Moses saw face to face with the God. From that time of Moses until now, nobody has seen this kind of glory of God. And what he saw was overwhelming. And he fell down upon his face. And the one spoke to him. And he said unto him, and I heard the voice of one that spoke. And the one that spoke to him said, Son of man, stand upon thy feet. We're not here to push you down. Stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spoke unto me, and he set me upon my feet. He set me upon my feet. He set me upon my feet. He didn't push me down. He set me upon my feet. That is God for you. And he said unto him, Son of man, I send thee to. So that's how God, see how God called him, encountered him, commissioned him. God himself called him, encountered him, and commissioned him in a trance, which is an extended, higher version of open vision. Trance is an extended or higher version of open vision. Trance is an extended or higher version of open vision. So the Lord himself called him, the Lord commissioned him. Ezekiel chapter 8, 1 to 18. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 7th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, and the hand of God fell there upon me. So he was having a meeting with the elders when he entered into this trance. Because a hand falls upon you. Like this one says, a hand, which is the power of God, falls upon you, and suddenly you are knocked out of the physical realm. People who maybe still be there with you, but you are in another place, another dimension. You are in another height. But you're sitting down with them, you're not sleeping. And that when that happens, you may not even be sleeping again. They may be hearing you do, because maybe you're communicating with the person that's bringing you the revelations. They may hear you open your mouth and talk, but nobody around you knows what you're saying. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord fell there upon me, as I happened before. You see, there were times that the hand of God fell upon him. There were times that he was involved in open visions or visions. But there were times, so several of Ezekiel's works where he had visions of them. But I'm just bringing out the ones that happened when he was in a trance. And the characteristic of this is that even though it's like a vision, but this vision occurs to you when the hand of the Lord is upon you. The power of the Lord overcomes you. therefore subdues or detaches you from your mind and your senses or your environment. And it came to pass in the 6th year, in the 6th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I sat in my house, and the elders of Judah sat before me, that the hand of the Lord God fell there upon me. Then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as the appearance of fire, from the appearance of his loins even downward, fire, and from his loins even upward, as the appearance of brightness, as the color of amber. And he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of my hand. The Lord took him by a lock of his hand, a lock of the hair of his head. God took him, just took his, rolled his some of a lock of his hair on his hand, and used as a vehicle of traveling. Happened in the trance, and in that trance, so God can take you to heights. It happens to me a lot, because sometimes as I'm praying, God doesn't take me by the head. I'm just telling you, it just takes me as I'm praying. He takes me to a place where things are involved, and he wants me to intercede for this particular place. And he shows me people who are kept there, who are tied to trees, who are this and who are that. And he said, release these ones. And as I come out of it, and I'm praying it, he will take me to another place. In this one, that's when you see spiritual transports. It can take you to places. I sat in my, then I beheld, and lo, a likeness as a, verse 3, and he put forth the form of a hand, and took me by a lock of mine head. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heavens, and brought me in the visions of God's Jerusalem. So I traveled. He didn't do this physically. It was in that power of God that came over him that he traveled out of that place where he was. Meanwhile, men were sitting down with him, gisting with him when he went on this journey. Men who were, he was not sleeping. He said, the elders of Israel, I sat in my house, and the elders of Israel sat before me. He was just talking with them when this event happened. God took him out. The power of God subdued him and took him out of the conscious level, and then held him by the lock of the hair and moved him out of his body. Moved him out, and he traveled out. And he put forth the form of a hand and took me by the lock of my head. And the Spirit lifted me up between the earth and the heaven, and brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem, to the door of the inner gate that looked towards the north, where was the seat of the image of jealousy, which provoked. And behold, the glory of God of Israel was there, according to the visions that I saw in the plain. So according to what I saw in chapter 1. Then said he unto me, it's interactive, Son of man, lift up thy eyes now the way towards the north. So I lifted up my eyes the way towards the north. See, it's also interactive, but it's a deeper kind of open vision. It's deeper than open vision. So in open vision, you are given instructions on what to do. It's interactive. The same thing happens in trance, but in trance, it is deeper. It is deeper. There are things you can't comprehend while watching in open vision. God would now need that His power will come upon you and then knock you off and give you the trance. Give it to you as a trance. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thy eyes now the way towards the north. So I lifted up my eyes the way towards the north. Do you see? Whatever he was told to do, he could do it. He could do it. Remember that at this point, his physical body was still in his parlor with the men who were sitting down him. And they may be telling him, Ezekiel, what is going on? They're not talking again. But he was, no, it was a prophet. Maybe they saw it and then left him. When I announced that they couldn't chat with me anymore, they left him. So I lifted up my eyes towards the north, and behold, northward, at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy. He said furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel committed here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary? But turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. Did you see? Turn thee yet again. And he brought me to the door of the court. So he was moving him from one place to the other. He couldn't do, you know that he was in Babylon. It was among the people of captivity. But God brought him from there straight to Jerusalem. So what was happening in the sanctuary? He says, verse 6. Okay, let me start from, verse 3 says, and brought me in the visions of God to Jerusalem. He was now seeing Jerusalem. So it wasn't what was happening. He was seeing now wasn't what was happening around him. It was happening where? Jerusalem. To the door of the inner gate that looked towards the north. And God showed him the evil image directed there. And God now said, verse 5, then said to him, Son of man, lift up thy eyes now towards the north. So I lifted up my eyes. He did what he was told. The way towards the north. And behold, northward, at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. He said unto me, Son of man, seest thou what? Can you see what the people are doing inside the temple? He was in Babylon, but God took him to show him what was going on in Jerusalem. Even the great abomination that the house of Israel committed here, that I should go far off from my sanctuary. So God was showing him the evil going on in the sanctuary. That's the way God took me to. During my own time, I was there, but he was taking me through. He would take me to this church and show me, say, this church. He will not show me the powers on the altar of the church. He will not show me the powers. Say, these are the powers they used to run this church. And some of them, you see them, some of them are python spirits that are used to run the church. He will take me from one church to the other, showing me the powers important to run the church, and that the members of the church don't even know what they are partaking of. There was one he would show me, say, this one is a church. Say, my name is there. So no, say, but the headquarters is in the water bodies. Is in the marine. He said, I am not in that church, but they use my name there. He will show me altars. He will show me altars. Even though I'll be here, but he'll be taking me from one altar to the other. Say, I want to show you what's happening in my house. It happened to me in trance. Same thing that was happening to what's his name again? Ezekiel in trance. He said, furthermore, unto the Son of Man, seest thou what they do, even the great abominations that the house of Israel committed here, that I should go far off. Say, they are doing this in deliberately to chase me out of the church, out of the temple, out of the sanctuary, out of my house. But turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations going on. That was what God did to me. It's even when I begin to understand it, but then I just called it visions. It was later, St. Paul said that when we were children, we talk like children. We prophesy in parts. I knew what God was showing me, but I didn't know the difference between visions and trance. All I knew that God was showing me these things. And in trance, they look so real that you can touch them. And he brought me to the door of the court, and when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the hole. So he said, he was telling him, dig. In that trance, and he was digging. But his physical body was not digging. His physical body was sitting down there, but his spiritual body, because he was in this, that's what they called then, he was in the spirit. But in the spiritual, in the transform, his body in the transform, and he said, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold the door. So he was now digging. His spirit man was digging, but his body was sitting in the chair with the elders of Israel around him. And he said unto me, go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do there. So I went in and saw. You see, he was giving instructions and he was carrying them out in that trance state. So I went in and saw. And behold, every form of creeping things and abominable beasts and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel. In the midst of them stood Jezaniah, son of Shaphan, and every man in his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. So God began to show him the people that we call ancients, people that we call the elders, people that we call the board members, people that we call the council, the elders of the 70 men of the ancients, people that were said that they were custodians of the laws and the history of Israel, being involved in this act, in this terrible occultic act. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients of the house of Israel do in the dark? Meanwhile, what was happening here was in the temple of the Lord. There's supposed to be elders, but see the rituals that they do in the dark. And by the daytime, we innocent children of God will come to worship, not knowing what the elders have already invoked inside the church. The Lord told me that several things are happening to my children, but the places they are, I can't come in there. Say, I'm not there. My name is used to erect the structure, but I'm not there. And I said, and I can't come in there. Several of the things, the place they call my house, say I'm not there. The headquarters are in Marine Kingdom. It was the ancient, 70 ancient people who should have been considerate of the truth in Israel, of righteousness, were the ones doing this in the dark. Every man in the chambers of his imagery, for they say, the Lord seeth us not. The Lord has forsaken the earth. What they say, well, God, I mean, what will God do? What did I say? I have forsaken the earth. Therefore, let us now do what we can. He said, you see what I'm telling you? Where God's silence is dangerous, because in God's silence, several things are imported into the house of the Lord. And when they put into the house of the Lord, innocent people who are coming to worship don't even know what they are partaking of, what spirit they are partaking of in the church. They don't even know the rituals that are done in the church. Spirits that are imported into the church to make them behave like snakes, serpentine movements, in the name of deliverance. He said unto me, we're going to pray that God, please, this silence is too much. See what's happening in your church, because they say you have forsaken your house. You have left the house, therefore we are the CEOs of God's house now. He said unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations that they do. And he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was towards the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz, another idol. They are worshiping the idol. Where door of the gate of the Lord's house, different idolatries to the temple of God. How was he seeing it? In a transform. He was in a transform. Then said he unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than this. So you see, God was telling him, God was taking him from one place to the other, one place to the other, one place to the other, giving him this. It wasn't just one thing unfolding. So trance is a deeper kind of open vision. When depths, mysteries that may be difficult to convey to you are involved, God may decide to use the tool of trance to speak to you. And he brought me to the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their back towards the temple of the Lord, and faces towards the east, and they worshipped sun towards the east in God's house. Then he said unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is this a light into the house of Judah, that they commit the abominations which they commit where? Not in their homes, but in the house of the Lord. Ezekiel was a priest, but he didn't know all this. He was a priest, but he was carried into captivity. So even as a priest, when he was working in the temple, he didn't have any idea of all those things. But he wasn't there as a priest. He didn't know that this was going on. He was a priest until he was carried into captivity. So throughout the time he was a priest, he never noticed this thing. He didn't notice it, yet he was a priest, ministering there daily. Bible said, and the priest standard daily to minister. He was coming there daily, but he was not aware of the rottenness in the temple. Then said he unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here? They have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger, and lo, they put the branch to their nose. Therefore will I also deal in fury, mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. From verse 6 says, he cried also in my ear with a loud voice, saying, cause all manner of things. So see, I just want to show you this one here. Ezekiel in trance. This one is an introduction to trance. We will now do trance in detail in the next message. But I've seen in trance, as opposed to open vision, in open vision, your body is intact. You know your physical environment. You are seeing what is going on. You're communicating physically. Your senses are intact. You may see with your spiritual eye or with your physical eye, but you are aware of your environment. In trance, the power of the Lord overtakes you, and then you have an out-of-body experience. Or you just don't know. That's what they call it. I fell into a trance. Fell meaning I was knocked out. I was not in charge. What it may appear to, that's why sometimes it appears to you as if you slept. It appears to you because it's not an open vision. It appears to you as if you just slept small, and then God now showed these things. I want us to pray. We're going to pray that God will help us. You see what the Bible said that happened because there was so much silence. God was quiet. Then I said that God is no longer there. The Bible said the reason why they went into this degree of rottenness in the temple was because they said, the Lord seeth us not. The Lord had forsaken the earth. I want us to ask God that let it not appear as if he has forgotten his church, his temple. When God is silent, a lot of things go wrong. When God is silent, a lot of things go wrong. That even in God's house, a lot of things are going wrong. Ezekiel didn't know any of this things when he was a priest. He just came out the other day and God called him, and God was not showing him things that were like, how come I didn't know that these things were here when I was there? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. How will you know if God doesn't show you? We ask, oh Lord, I show your ministers mercy. That was how I heard about a man of God. He didn't know that the pastor under him went and organized some occult men, and they brought a coffin to the altar to pray around the altar. And as they were doing it, praying around the altar, going around with the occult men he brought on the altar of the Lord, somebody entered into the church and caught them. It was the pastor under him that was doing it. If the pastor hadn't caught him, if someone hadn't caught him, nobody would know what happened. And they just came and prayed and went. When the pastor came the next Sunday to preach, as soon as he mounted the place, he had stroke. If God doesn't show you things, people will use the church against you, use temple against you. Be doing rituals in the church and you're wondering about it. Where there is no vision, people perish. It's dangerous to have in these days to do ministry without some measure of prophetic tools. I want to ask the Lord that he should please help his ministers. Lord, please help your ministers. By strength has no man ever prevailed. We refuse to worship God in the church where different other idols are brought in secretly and being worshipped, polluting the atmosphere of the temple. Lord, expose them. Expose and drive them away from your house. You say that these are the things that I did to drive you away. How can men drive you away from your own house? No, Lord. That is not humility, Lord. How can men drive you away from your own house? That name, your house, say that house is called by your name. Men cannot drive you away. Defend your own church, Lord. Defend your own. Defend your own. If you cannot defend your own, Lord, what will the righteous do? Defend that which is yours. After all, when Belshazzar wanted to drink with your cup, Lord. You fought to defend your vessels. Even so, defend your church, Lord, today. Defend your children from all manner of forces imported into your temple that have conscripted your children and making them behave all manner of ways that you can't account for from the Bible. We ask, oh Lord, that in your mercy, the tools you have given us, let them be pruned in your sight. Let them be pruned. 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 Let them be